There have been jingles and television spot ads and a number of campaigns that have, in terms of political representation as well, but also in terms of changing societal attitudes. Jayanta Dhanapal and you know the campaigns.
Yes,
there have been many in the past. How effective? Not.
This is the thing. I mean, I suppose it's something that women's groups actually grapple with day to day. I mean, it is the UN grapples with it. The NGO community grapples with it. How do we make sure that more women and men? Of course, there's this whole campaign now to try and involve men in eliminating violence against women. It's really important because if we say the perpetrators are mainly men, then you need to tell them what their values should be.
That is quite a compelling campaign as well that got some leading men to talk about.
And actually, maybe I should talk a little bit about that. Actually, that was last year, the GBV Forum, that is the Gender-Based Violence Forum of the United Nations, which is coordinated by the United Nations, but has an NGO presence. Basically, what happened is that for last year's International Day on the Elimination of Violence Against Women, November 25th, and the 16 days of activism leading up to December 10th, we had a campaign where 16 men were used for the 16 days of activism, and TV spots were done of leading personalities, people like Kumar Sangakkara, Hiran Kure, Jayanta Dhanapala, let's see who else was it, but also the common people as well. A student, we had a mason, a bus conductor, a teacher. So all these people, basically men who came out and spoke out against violence. So it was a very important campaign, I think, and of course due to lack of funds, then you can't continue the campaign, and that I think is also a major problem. Right? When we're talking about awareness, the fact that you need to have funds, right? You need to have budgets, and this is a sort of, and media is very expensive. It's a very expensive media.
So they say that there's no buy-in from media to this kind of.
There is. I mean, it's not to say that
because I would hazard a guess that even in media institutions that violence would be. You can't say that the women are in any better position in the media industry.
They're not. But let me throw a question to you, Sanjana. I mean, you have situations where there is a lot of reluctance to admit that harassment takes place within the workplace. And this is, I mean, I think the point is that we tend to forget to portray or to try and sell the fact that to a businessman that your workplace is going to be more productive, more happier, more contented workforce if you don't have sexual harassment.
It's a tough question, but I'll ask you, why would they give a damn? How compelling an argument can you make for that precise point? What is the resistance to that idea?
The resistance is, I think, also public image. You don't want
you don't want to admit it.
You don't want to admit it, and then others would know about it. So
but others would know about it, isn't it the case?
If you think about it, there aren't too many, companies coming out and telling others, look, we've had a case on sexual harassment. It's very hidden. It's very hidden. I mean, you would have, now I have had a couple of lawyers coming in talking to me about sexual harassment, and they tell me I can't tell you who my client is. So, it's hidden because nobody wants to actually admit that sexual harassment takes place within their workplace.
Is it part then of the larger process to kind of take away that stigmatization, to get people to talk about this issue openly, or I don't know, how would it work?
I don't really know. I mean, I would think, I think for me it's more from a business, it's business sense, makes business sense for them to hide the fact.
To hide the fact.
To hide it.
Right.
But I think they've not been given enough awareness to tell them, look, if you deal with it, if you take steps to deal with it, then that would give you better sort of a profile, better contented workforce.
So you really can't say that we make garments without guilt?
I don't think so. But if you talk to the CEOs of some of these companies, they will tell you, oh, we have a wonderful workforce, we have zero tolerance for sexual harassment.
And maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But it's not to say that they can't have some kind of mechanism in place if in the future something does take place, which is what we try to tell them. Now, I should tell you a little bit about this initiative we have, the Chamber of Commerce, where we are
the Ceylon
Chamber of Commerce, along with the Employees Federation and the UN, have got together, and basically what we are pushing is we are trying to ensure that some of the companies in the chamber have a sexual harassment policy. Right, and also within that policy, using the policy, setting up committees in their workplace to deal with sexual harassment. Now, we have had quite a bit of success with this because it's an issue that the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce has really not dealt with meaningfully in the last 10-15 years. And recently there has been some interest, right? Not because we've told them, you should deal with it, but what we've told them is, look, it makes sense for you to deal with it. Because if in case sexual harassment does take place, you would know what to do. Because there have been situations where some companies have come up saying, look, we've had situations, we don't know how to deal with it. And they immediately go to the Employees Federation, ask them to help out. So if you have your own mechanism in your workplace, you also don't have to publicize it. You would also be dealing with it confidentially within your workplace, which makes business sense again. Right, so that is what we've been pushing, and we've had a fair bit of success with this.
Is there, you feel, a divergence of opinion in the group or the movement that is working towards this on the involvement of men and the nature and the extent to that?
There is. Also, I think, but this is again, I think, due to things like funding, because, if you have funding, a sort of fund base going for women's activities, then the question is how many men, how many women? Right, so that becomes an issue as well, right? And I believe that men should be involved in this, but at the same time, you need to strike that balance, right? How many women do you get there? You have to create awareness among the women that they should not be tolerating violence. At the same time, you need to get a certain percentage of men in there and tell them, look, you should not be doing this. So it's a delicate balance, I would think.
You constantly refer to the lack of funding. I'm surprised that the state isn't funding this.
As far as I know, if I remember correctly, I think it was under 2% of the budget goes to the Ministry of Women's Empowerment.
Right.
So, which is very, very little, right? And of course, it's not to say that it's only the state that, I would think that they should be the leader, right? But then there is a whole NGO movement behind them and that assists them in sort of trying to, maybe create awareness, island-wide. But it is, I would think, the ministry that would have the biggest obligation and also in terms of credibility. The ministry would be able to, reach out much more because, nowadays with this whole NGO lack of credibility of NGOs and all of that, there's a possibility that, you're not, even outside, it's sometimes possible.
Have you found that yourself?
Not really, not in the work I do, I haven't really found that, but I do know that it does take place, and you have, the credibility comes from the state, so you need to assist them. I truly believe that you need to help the ministry, because sometimes there's a lack of capacity, lack of...
I went to this is a peripheral story, but I went to the passport, the Department of Immigration. I was very heartened to see an employee reading a Tamil manual. And I asked her over the counter, what can you get that book and what you're doing? And apparently it's now mandatory for them to learn Tamil for non-Tamil speakers.
Right.
And likewise, I just off the cuff, I thought, why can't you have some kind of awareness sensitization program in government ministries towards that which you're speaking to? Has that been mooted?
It has been done and time again.
And again, the need.
The need.
Why is it? Why is it because of staff transience or
it's
just
that
obduracy? Or I don't know.
I have no idea what it is, but and it's also, I think,
or is it
maybe
art
apathy,
of repetition? Okay,
apathy to the issue. For example, I do know that the different ministries have a gender focal point.
Okay.
Right? So you would have, I would think, specifically, maybe a woman. Each ministry has one. But then, visibility-wise, we don't see them. We don't hear of them. We don't know what they do. I would not want to hazard a guess as to what they actually do. So, and most times gender focal points, I am actually against that concept because gender focal points are people who are given extra work.
Right.
In addition to the work they're doing, they've been told, look, you are the gender focal point as well. And, it's something that's foisted on them. They're not keen to do it. So it's an issue, and they're not experts. They're not experts in the field.
Right.
So these are some of the issues, so with the ministries also you have again a reluctance to deal with women's issues, and I think it also comes with a lack of knowledge of what the issues are.
From the professional to the personal, how did you get involved in this sphere?
Actually, in this particular field on violence, as a law student, I was very interested in women's issues, but I think my interest
Here, is it?
in Colombo, yes, I was at the law faculty, but I did go off to the US and do my master's. And when I came back, and I would like to actually mention my mentor, I would consider would be Professor Savitri Gunasekara, who, basically, taught me a lot at that, at the juncture in my life when I did come back and started teaching at the university. She, was a person who sort of really guided me in this area of research, and I still keep in touch with her, and I'm very, very grateful to her for the interest that she, that she sparked in me for this area of work.
Because actually, there's something neatly ties into what I want to ask you next, which is violence in the university. It's horrendous, isn't it? Ragging and catcalls and just the emotional trauma of just having to survive through university. You don't even live university, you just survive it. Now, is this something that is being addressed?
Yes, actually. When I was when I was teaching there, I do remember that, I don't remember what year it was, but there was a law that was passed on the prevention of ragging in universities.
But again, we have these laws